Okay, so I would like to thank you all for your joining this seminar, and I will just give you a quick overview. We will start with a short explanation of the TRACE project founded by the EU, by Tim, and then I will give you a short summary of the 6 use cases we created to test the tool, which also give you an overview of all the cases of money laundering you can find in the European Union. And then we'll give you a short video about the knowledge graphs the TRACE tool can show you. But now I would like to give Tim the floor to give you a small, short introduction.
All right, thank you, Philip, for the short introduction. As I am today honored to have the task to tell you more about the project itself, I would like at first to see the logo of our institute. It's the Center of Excellence for Police and Security Research in Fürstenfeldbruck. It's part of the Bavarian Police. And we are honored today to show you the seminar of TRACE, our EU-funded project against illicit money flow. And AI, the goal of the project is to construct an AI-based program in countering financial crime and trace illicit money flows. At first, I would reference you to our website for later research on your own. And then I would like to show you our project partners, as this project is funded by the EU Commission. It is naturally that the project itself is separated across different research institutes all across Europe. I say especially Europe and not European Union, because in this special case we also have a research institute from the UK, the Aston University, but the rest of our project partners are from the European Union. For example, Priva Nova, which is situated in Paris, as well as the Tax and Customs Board in the Republic of Estonia, and last but not least, as we in Bavaria, as well as the only German counterpart of this project. TRACE is one project of many which the EU Commission has has offered in order to combat modern tax money fraud and things like that. And TRACE is a sister project, like the others that you can see here. Just to name one thing is Notions, in which also we from the Bavarian Police have a part in it. But now, why TRACE? Quite simple. The investigation of illicit money flow, especially in the digital area, is at the moment not standardized. There are no tools which are used in all of the European Union, and especially AI tools at the moment are created more like in a vacuum, which means the developers of such tools, they don't take in accountability what the users, especially the LEAs, want or need. And one of the main problems from a financial and political aspect there is that the global AI market is at the moment dominated by the United States. So in order for us as European citizens to have our own tools, to have our own AI, and to remain a valuable player in the field of AI, it's a fundamental issue for us to compete in the AI market. What are the main business models of illicit money flows? For example, if you made money through a crime or something like that, you need to kind of wash it. That's like the first and foremost reasons for illicit money flow. And the most likely business models used by these criminals is common real estate transactions or the trading of rare earths, where, as we could see in our analysis, the most money is washed from crime and to illicit money flow. What are the main duties of LEAs? With LEAs, I mean legal and enforcement agencies, like the police. The main duties are analyzing of suspicious transaction reports and other disclosed informations, obtaining evidence, reporting, testifying to findings, and assisting in crime detection and prevention. While this might sound a bit confusing, or what do we mean by that, is we show you some of the inquiry lines that an investigator usually uses when he starts to investigate in illicit money flow. The first are, what are the sources of the subject incomes? Because that's one of the main things you look at first, because if you see like, wait, there's someone who has a normal income of like, 25,000 a year, but he's able to afford things that he shouldn't be able to afford from his money. That's one of the first traces to get out that he is maybe in some sort of illicit money flow involved. The digital evidence which were found while investigating crime which focuses on illicit money flow are emails, journal entries, social media posts, and etc. etc. It is worth noticing that even outside of cryptocurrency, most of the transferring by money or the documentation of money or the discussion about illicit money flow is done online. So we get like a extreme huge pile of data when analyzing illicit money flow, and that's the reason why we have a question that arises in LEAs, how to handle and what to do with all these data. And that's the point where we start asking users, frequent users like normal police officers or lawyers who are investigating in illicit money flows, what do you want from software which could help you tracking these flows? And the frequent users as well as non-frequent users, which is the other graph I show you on the back, they both said in both sides that usability and self-explanatory are the things that are most important for them if they want to have a software which combats these topics. Which on the one hand shows where we have to go, but on the other hand shows the problem which we have at the moment. Like I said at the beginning, that at the moment all software solutions in AI and things like that are made without any consideration of what the users want or what the users need. The Trace project addresses those needs. You don't have to remember this, but it's a kind of our worksheet, how we build up this project. We developed an AI technology which has the problem, which counters the problem of usability and self-explanatory. Later, Philip will show you with some use cases what exactly the Trace program is different from the ones that were used before. And we are able to deliver a highly modular open source framework for money laundering investigations to LEAs. The investigators will be enabled through the Trace technology to identify relevant hidden organized crime networks, monitor and trace supply chain networks and corresponding money flow, and to support hidden supply networks of organized crime groups. The policy contributions, on the other hand, starting with technical, now policy, will be that we should be able, if the project itself is seen as a suggestion by the European Commission, that we can get a harmonization of the market inside the EU, which would of course help the police officers from each member state to coordinate their investigations, because of course illicit money flows is a transnational crime, it's a transcontinental crime, it's not sit in one country and not a problem of one country itself. So what are the results of the Trace project, which was finished in these months? We provided illustrative use cases such as old and new terrorist financing schemes, cyber extortion, money laundering, etc. We analyzed money flows in the use cases to be shared with LEAs and in particular FIUs across the EU. developed a crowd investigation knowledge graph, developed improved investigation tools and or systems, and we developed new web data sources for LEAs. We established effective storage, structuring, and filtering big data sets. We made it possible to visualize these data sets, which of course are a huge help to police officers, because you can easily think of that a police officer who only has an Excel spreadsheet in front of itself would be kind of annoyed to read all of this. With Trace, we made a program which is able to visualize this. You will later see it in Philip's part. It makes it far easier than it was before. And last but not least, the technical part we developed is demonstrated by demos of the tool to LEAs. So this program, this AI tool, is not something that we as a research institute with our partners developed in our ivory tower and overlooking all of ours and now expecting everyone to use it as we intended to have it, but no, we went down to the bottom, we went to the LEAs and said, this is our tool in a beta. Do you like it? What do you want to do with it? What do you want to change? And we really took these suggestions back and tried to make it usable as much as possible. So much from my part. I now give the word back to Philip, and he will show you the use cases that were analyzed during the project, and then at the end we will show you a short video clip of how the tool is used. Thank you very much, Philip.
Thank you, Tim.
The stage is yours.
So, as Tim already told you, we have the problem that we wanted to create a tool and knowledge in this project that really hits the point on which we say, okay, what do LEAs really need when they try to investigate some cases of illicit money flow? So the first few slides are just about the Trace tool itself and Trace project itself. I think we can rush through it because it's nearly the same Tim already told you. The important thing is that, to mention again, illicit money flows and money laundering is a transnational crime. So we always have to consider that we have different LEAs, different legal systems in Europe within the member states. And so we tried with our partners to get a tool that can be used by any member state so that we really hit every legislation we have within the EU. The problem is that we have a lot of data, and Trace is trying to gather those huge amounts of data when it comes to digital data. And as Tim told you, the problem is just having a big amount of data doesn't help you. You have to visualize it to see it, because sometimes some connections you don't even see in the data itself. You have to make it visible for the investigator, and that's what the Trace tool really does very well. And so we will skip now to the use cases. We had 6 use cases. The Trace project partners said, okay, we want 6 use cases. We didn't say we want 6. We say, okay, we want to cover all the most happening cases of money laundering. And so we have come to this 6. The first is financing terrorism. The second, forensic for tackling terrorist investigation. Then property market transactions with buying houses. Then we have cyber extortion, online gambling is 6, and money laundering with stolen arts and antiquities. This project, as we mentioned before, is a bottom-up approach, and we had investigators who are really familiar with such cases, and they helped us to understand how the workflow is working in their form of investigation, and also what are the data they look at. Because sometimes in some cases you have different data you look at, but we have to consider all of the data to make a tool that really works. So the use cases are developed in the close cooperation and collaboration with the EU stakeholders and supported by academic partners. and also legal expertise we have in our consortium. The technology is developed based on the use cases results. So we had those use cases, and then we tested the tool with the use cases, so that we used them to get to know if we tackle all the things the user might want. So on the first step, we collected the necessary background information and reviewed the case studies with meetings with LEAs. And then we had some desk research involved, and also some information gathering methods by having interviews and really talking with the ones doing the investigations. And then we came up with those 6 use cases, and we also tried to have them as realistic as possible. You will see in the use cases that they have some reference to some things that really happened, maybe you already have come across in your career. And special when we have the deliverable 2.2, I think it is, where we have a real big document just telling you everything that happened within this use cases. We will have it very short, and in this use case we also introduce all the actors. So we have a backstory of every actor, we have the interaction of the actor, we have the story that happened, we have all the documentation of how the investigator got to know the case and how their first steps were. Okay, so I want to start with the first case now. It's about financing terrorism, and the first use case is it is necessary to deepen the understanding of the business model and the structure they have by and also the global view of financing terrorism. And the actors involved in this case, it's the case is a mother is concerned about her son being radicalized, and so she is Mona, the mother of Ozzy, the Australian national who has been radicalized, and we have Olivia, the officer, who's in charge of the investigation. And the steps in this use case is that Mona is concerned, the mother, that her son might be radicalized, and she goes to Olivia, the officer, and said, okay, my son is radicalized. I have here some copies of his social media interaction and some messenger app content. And then the data is analyzed, and the connections within other partners in the radicalized group, or somehow radicalized group, we don't know yet, is analyzed by Olivia, and then they see, okay, he really has been radicalized and made some transaction to support the radicalized group, and then they collect another data to have a look on the financial transactions. And our goal is, the goal of Trace was to be able to do those schemes you see on the right hand side. So this is from the use case. That's not exactly how it would look like or how it looks in the program, but that's of course if you want to have an overview and you work with this tool, you really get used to it and you can see connections and where to tackle when you're used to such visualization. And the officers told us, the LA officer said that that's the thing they really need. So much to the first case. Then the second case was web forensic for tackling terrorism. So the first one was a very common, just a mother being concerned. The second is a more broad through. It's about, it's a reference to Division 45, if you're familiar with that. It's a right-wing radicalized group in Germany that had been banned. So our use case is about the Division 24. And the radicalized group, the officer said, okay, we have a radicalized group here. It got banned, and they had some raids, and they confiscated some computers, some data, some servers at the homes they searched. and now you can think, okay, that will be more data than you have with just one guy being radicalized in a very small group. They were drug dealers, they had prostitution, everything you can imagine within the scope. And so you have just a huge amount of data, and you also want to get the interactions. So in this case, you have all the suspects from Division 24. In this case, we have 5 main suspect leaders of the division. We have T to the IT professional of the investigative team, because when you have this much data on servers and computers and smartphones, you definitely need an IT support, because obviously it's a lot of data. And Ingrid, the lead investigator. So after collection of the relevant official and police information, the organization was banned and the houses were searched, and they found a lot of data, digital data. And then they said, okay, we need financial help by investigation, because as you know, with Al Capone, when you really want to get someone, you look at his financial records. That's the easier way, and also the easier way to get the interaction from the subject. And they also have some OSINT collection of data and search string analysis for money transfer. And as you see, it's a very, very complex case with just 5 members. You can imagine that usually you have more lead members in a criminal organization. But this graph looks pretty narrow, pretty plain. You can really get the gist of what was happening. And that was the thing we wanted to create. The next case is money laundering through real estate. I think that's the most common thing you will see at the moment. We come later to another case where we think the future might go, that it will grow. So in this case, they buy real estate, invest in real estate, and either the way they rent it, and so they can get clean money back, or they sell it again and then get clean money. The thing is that usually you have some regulatories where the sellers could see that there's something not really legal happening, but sometimes the sellers don't care, or sometimes they just don't see the red flags. And so in this case we have Connor, the compliance officer. He's the one noticing that there's something not very good is happening, and that the solicitor failed to spot the money laundering red flags. And as you see, different crypto wallets, where the crypto asset has been washed by crypto mixers, together form an asset to buy the property. And usually you have also someone helping with the money flow, and not the real one who's buying it, so that they can also hide their identity. But also I think it's pretty clear that this thing looks pretty plain to investigate. The next use case you might be interested in, and you might have heard of, is a reference to WannaCry. I think most of you might know the cyber attack from WannaCry. So this is actually a real footage of WannaCry. When you got infected, they locked all your data away and said, okay, you can recover in this time when you get us this much worth of Bitcoin and mail it to this address, and then we will de-lock your data, and if you don't send it in this time, we will permanently lock it and all your data is lost. This is a bit more for tech guys. I'm not a tech guy, so I can just explain it to you the way I have the understanding. So we have the victim, we have the criminal launching the ransomware. Usually the one launching the ransomware isn't the one creating the ransomware, so they have specialists for that too in the darknet. And the thing is, the victim reports to the authorities and say, okay, I have been infected with the WannaCry virus, and then by tackling the blockchain where they get their bitcoins in, that's the way you can try to trace back who has been sending this ransomware. But of course, that's really really time consuming and a lot of data, and that's where we wanted to contribute with our AI and our tool. And there you can also see that just looking from the one suspect and just the link to other suspects and one victim, suspects, victim, when you have just one victim and then you trace it back, you can remember that there are other victims too. And so in the trace tool you can combine it very easy and see what traces the money went after they send it to the suspect or to the criminal. Another case related to buying money and arts and antiquities. Especially after the big territorial gains after ISIS did, a lot of antiquities were on the black market. But you can obviously also buy antiquities not in the black market, just in the common market, and then sell it to get your money washed. The main difficulty is with arts that the big places arts is sold, as you know, they are really strict. When you don't want to be mentioned that you are the buyer, it's no problem for them, because it's usually that they don't want to be mentioned. And that's a bit of a problem, but also the thing we want to tackle, that we say, okay, you don't want us to tell us who bought it, but we can trace the money back. And that's just, as the other use cases, just they also have middlemen. And the thing is that this is not only for washing money you gained from criminal actions, but also when you just have a look at it, when you embezzle your company. So you just say, okay, I bought this piece of arts for my company, and then you sell it on the private market, so you can get money out of your company. And that's a special case of criminal activity, but also one of the main things that happen with arts, especially because usually when you want to wash money, it's easier to do it with houses, or, as we will tell you now, with the very modern way of washing money, online gambling. So when you have a lot of illicit money and you want to wash it, it's the easiest way to create your own online gambling website. Then you put the money in, you gamble enough so it can't be tracked that it was your money, and then you pay it out and it's clean. And usually the money loss you do during gambling, in this case, is 5%, and that's the cheapest way to wash your money. And usually those gamblings are in legal and tax havens, they host it. So it's kind of difficult for the European Union to tackle, because if you have some online casino that is launched in a non-European state, also European actors can wash their money there. So that's kind of a problem, and also the tracing is the problem, because usually you have, just from what investigators told us, you have a lot of guys sitting there in your criminal organization, and everybody pays a little bit into the online gambling system. So it's not from one stream, but there are different streams, but they are all interconnected. And with the trace tool, you can visualize that. So to summarize it, the use cases show similarities in how money laundering activities are perpetrated. The use cases present here are illustrative actors, so we made them up, and also the data points, but we had the investigators tell us how it usually works, and we had some desk research to really get use cases that could have happened that way. And Trace can offer assistance at almost all stages of the investigation. So you see we have the big data, okay, where will we store it? Also, data don't always have the same format. We can put any data into Trace. despite the fact we also made some recommendations in the Trace project that we can harmonize data and how data is stored. But of course that's more from a tech guy. So we made those contributions too in the project that will help further investigations across Europe. And then when we have the data, we can structurize the data, and then we can visualize it. And that's the thing I want to show you in a short video. And I hope you just get the real baseline what we wanted to do with the Trace project. So now you will hear our colleague Thomas. It's just the second part of the video. In the first part it is just explaining how to store the data, how to work with the data, but I think the biggest thing for you to get to know Trace is how they visualize it, because that's the thing that makes it simpler for the investigations.
Next feature we look at is the dynamic visualization graph, which is the visualizing version of the knowledge graph. So remember, in the dashboard up here, you could teach the system knowledge. That's the K stand for. You told the system already those are names, you told them how they are connected and so on. This is extremely important to understand because this tool is built to grow with a case. So of course, if you do like we did, crawl hundreds of thousands of documents, and then you try to understand which people are connected how, it will take you a while, obviously. But if you build a case from the scratch, which is usually happening, you can immediately start to teach the machine, this is a person, this is how it's connected, this is where the person lives, and so on and so forth. And that's translated into a dynamic visualization. This technology is called IVIS, and so it connects all the dots. You have told the machine, in this sidebar you see what you see on the screen, this is the light blue, and what is in the visualization, what you don't see on the screen. If I go down here, you see that it moves wherever you want it to move. So you can search for certain names here. You can say, I think there must be someone called Daniel. There's Daniel, so let's see. Let's take this Daniel. This is the guy I look for, so let's mark him. Then we could say, because we're in online gambling, it's always interesting to look for Malta. Is there Malta? Yes, there's Malta. So we go for Malta here, mark it as important, and now I want better structured because this is all over the place. So I go on Malta and say I want to see what everything that's hanging below Malta. Now I already decided that Malta is important and this guy is important. It's still difficult to understand how they are connected. So I mark both of them. I mark Malta and the guy, and now I can, within the visualization, see the fastest connection without losing my queries that so far. That's also very unique. Usually visualization tools are static. You make a query, that's what you get in the visualization. That's basically it. This tool allows you to work and investigate within the visualization. Now you also can do the same by doing it like this. This, for example, then you can put in the report. Now, the other thing that's unique, you can work within here. You can say, this person I don't need. You can filter. You can say I want to see space options, so honestly I don't need any locations, I only need people and states, so it all goes away and it all comes back. Finally, you can of course then print it out, and another very unique thing is you can edit it yourself. We have built you a taskbar here where you can add entities and connections. This is also customizable because, for example, as you can see, we have currently here no victims, no witnesses. So you as an investigator can say, look guys, I want to have witnesses, want to have victims. I maybe want to have fingerprints, or other forensic stuff. So we can do all that for you, and that gives you a tool that isn't there yet anywhere on the market. So that's basically it. As you can see, this tool is very simple. It has 4 tasks, which are fair enough. It's the first tool where you can completely customize your dashboards. You can individualize them. We have dashboards that are like this. You have dashboards where you can simply follow money transactions. You can read within the documents and search there. You can tag them and task them and give them stars. And you can visualize anything. As I said before, this is an MVP. That means it's a minimum viable product. It's tested currently, and it will be finished to a beta version in June 2024. Thank you very much. Good day.
Okay, so I think Thomas could show you what the cool thing is about Trace. And as a last word from my side, I would like to tell you that we had other presentations within our university of the Bavarian police, and all the officers sitting there, they said, wow, this tool I would like to use in other crimes too. So obviously you see, as you can add fingerprints, you can add victims. This tool is a very, very mighty tool. If you really customize it to your needs, you can use it on any crime case you might imagine. And that's why we also have another part in our research. It's about the ethical impact of this tool. So we just want to remember you, when you have a tool that powerful, you also have to give teachings and school lessons to your investigators what it means to have such a powerful investigation tool. And that's the thing I want to tell you as last. We have a very powerful tool. I'm glad that we could present it to you. I thank Tim that he helped me with the presentation. And thanks for joining us today, and have a great day. Thank you.